Hi, everybody. It's Bob Ost, and it's Friday. It's what is the date? October 3rd. October 3rd.
Mhm.
Yes, we're just post Rosh Hashanah.
Mhm.
So Happy New Year to those of you who celebrate Rosh Hashanah. I celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Happy New Year to me. We've been doing these community gatherings. This is, I think, our 260 third, fourth, I don't know. I've lost track at this point. Consecutive week. We started doing them back in 2020, April 17th, when shutdown hit. The point of this was basically open up a room so people could get together and have a community while we were all in isolation. But it grew into something a little bit more, I hope. I think it basically we're dealing a lot with topics that have to do with theater and the arts. And we also we dip our toe, we tip our dough, we dip our toe in politics every now and then because we are living in the world, and that's what you do when you live in the world. Uh, we've basically talked about art and we talked about theater. We've talked about all aspects of things for 5 years, 5.5 years now, and we couldn't help but notice that some things have been changing dramatically in the past year, the past couple years actually. Um, Things that directly affect us personally, but also directly affect us as artists. There is. I'm going to talk. I'm just going to talk about the politics of it because I can't ignore it. I can't not do that. And I know that that means that YouTube is going to probably prohibit the amount of views I can get because of what we're talking today, which is the First Amendment rights.
Mhm.
Anybody remember First Amendment rights? Uh, Anybody remember
I
the
think I studied them in law school.
yeah, I think we all studied them in school, except some people decided that it was all fiction. They confused it with something to do with the arts. It doesn't really exist, does it? The First Amendment rights. We're gonna get down to that. We're going to talk about how freedoms are being squeezed. I'd like to say taken away, but I know people will argue the point. But I think they're being squeezed. I think it's actually empirical that they are being taken away, but who am I? So luckily, I have two people who I think are very well positioned to not understand the issues, but to understand the impact that they have on people in my community, my TRU community. We are a community of artists. Um, I will say this, I say this frequently. Politics is where people go to fight, and art is where people come together to listen. So hopefully, somewhere in between those two extremes, we can find a world that we can all be comfortable in and coexist in. I'm going to. I'm trying to avoid the soapbox, and I'm not doing a good job. So I'm just going to bring my guests on right now. I want you to meet. First of all, I want you to meet Cheryl Davis, who is a very important person in my life and in my company. Cheryl is the person that co-founded TRU with me
one of the
34,
people.
one of the people, yes, that, and Gary Hughes who's also here today. 34 years ago, I think it was. I'm not sure when we got this crazy, wacky idea to do this, but it's been a while. Cheryl was an attorney for many years. She still is an attorney, but she moved a little bit. She made a little bit of a shift a couple years ago and became the General Counsel for the Authors Guild of America. Cheryl, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to have you replace me, and you're going to tell us a little bit about your background beyond what I just said. And then I'm going to bring Ralph on. So Cheryl, welcome. Welcome to TRU.
Well,
Have you ever been here before?
I think I've heard about it, but I love it.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm getting like an echo. Is anybody else getting an echo in my name?
I'm
No.
not.
Hmm.
You know what?
You have it.
It's you have
You're
to take
open twice, right?
yeah, you have to turn your sound off on one of your two videos.
Oh, okay. So let Ralph talk while I'm trying to figure this out.
Okay, Ralph, I'm going to bring you on, just like Cheryl suggested. So Ralph, I've known you for many. I've known you since I started doing TRU. You've always been. I think you were born into the Dramatists Guild, weren't you? you you were the founding baby of the Dramatists Guild.
Maybe reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started there 28 years ago.
Oh, so you came on after I founded TRU. So there.
Yes, prior to that, I was actually working for producers.
Tell
And
us
then
about that. I don't know about that. I want to know more.
well, originally, before I was an attorney, I was in the film industry in distribution and marketing, and I decided to go to law school. So I got out and I was hired by a theater producer who wanted to do film projects. So I was there to do the film projects, but he taught me general management of theater, and I became his business director of business affairs. So I worked on Broadway shows for a few years from the producer's side. I found an opportunity to come to the Guild in 1997 after we had produced a number of flops, and he encouraged me to find employment elsewhere.
So there.
So I found myself here.
This, but this, by the way, is a life lesson for everybody who thinks that producers have it easy. Producing is like one of the hardest things in the world.
I don't lose sleep over them.
Okay.
I found I slept better, in fact, when I started working for artists rather than the people with the money.
Okay. Fair enough. I do both, so I'm happy to know you.
So yeah, I'm an attorney, and I'm been at the Guild as I'm now executive director of business affairs and general counsel, and yeah.
So Cheryl, let me ask you: are you coming on your phone?
Yes, I'm on my phone now.
Okay, so I'm going to add your spotlight. So so now I have both of you up. So Cheryl, we were founding TRU at the time that you lost your sound before. So
this is true.
And
as a segue from Ralph, I did want to say that Ralph and I were also producers in a small musical theater company called Music in a Box.
Oh,
now,
Memory Lane.
I have to ask you this. I've always been curious. The current Music in a Box hasn't been around for how long now?
Oh Lordy, I still get mail for it though.
Yeah, you do.
People are offering us a credit card.
I think of it often. Actually, I remember it fondly.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheryl, what was your transition? Really was from being a corporate attorney. She's also a mild-mannered playwright. Tell us about your writing credits.
I'm a playwright, musical theater librettist, and lyricist, and currently working on the CBS soap opera Beyond the Gates. Before that, I wrote for Days of Our Lives, and I also wrote for Law and Order SVU. So I've got my writing fingers in a number of different pies.
Well, I'm gonna come on. So the three of us are on now. So
Charles, the busiest man in Broadway. She's
everywhere. She's everywhere.
She's got more gigs.
She's here. She's there. She's everywhere. Where I can't.
So here's the thing. I actually would normally take more time to hear about your backgrounds, but I think people can both understand that you have legal training and legal background, and you're involved in the arts, and you love the arts. Am I overstepping by saying you love the arts?
No, in fact, I feel like when I moved to the Guild, I felt like I was starting to use my legal powers for good by helping the artists that could not afford to pay me. And the law firm I was at.
So there we have it. We are happy to have you on our side with your legal understanding. I'm just a layman, and it seems like things are going a little sour in our democracy these days. And I know there are people who have a completely different point of view on this, and I don't want to fight with anybody, but I do want to at least elucidate the ways in which things are changing in ways that make many of us uncomfortable. How's that for a political way of phrasing that? A politic way of phrasing that. Let's talk about First Amendment rights, of course. But I don't think that the changes that are going on are limited there. But let's start our conversation with the First Amendment. Let's remind people what the First Amendment is. Let's start there. Very basic. Ralph, Cheryl, you wanna do a duet?
Well, see, they wrote these amendments to the Constitution.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, first it was Hamilton.
It has something to do with democracy, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah.
Loosely.
Yeah. I'm so not going to be allowed to show this on YouTube. Okay, keep going.
I can't remember the actual language. Cheryl, do you know? But it does protect freedom of the press, freedom of association,
freedom
religion,
of speech.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's, broadly speaking, it prohibits the government from taking from infringing any of those rights. It doesn't stop private interests from doing it.
Right of petition. I always forget that one.
Yeah, people often.
Oh, so the right of petition is part of the First Amendment rights?
Yeah, right to petition the government. Yeah.
All right.
So people often misunderstand, and they talk about, when a corporation fires somebody for, it's a First Amendment issue. No, it's not. It's bad, but it's not a First Amendment.
It's basically us and the government.
Yep.
It's us as citizens of the United States. It's us as people, members of what was founded as a democracy. I'm very careful to say what was founded as a democracy.
But it's like all the other Bill of Rights. I mean, that's the point is they wrote this Constitution, which created power in the government. And then afterwards they said, well, maybe we need to take a step back.
Pull some of those back.
Reserve some rights to the individuals. And that's what the Bill of Rights is about.
So let me find a starting point. I think the starting point for me was when our president made a declaration, I think it's called a dictum, that said that we had to limit diversity, equity, and inclusion, and he's discouraging.
I think you're talking about the executive order.
It was an executive order?
Yeah.
Okay, because
he issued many executive orders, one of which had to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion, another which had to do with gender ideology. So yeah.
So what was the executive order? Let's start there.
Essentially, they were coming down saying that diversity, equity, and inclusion in some bizarro land world is unconstitutional, and those are actually acts of racism. And that more to the point, when they came down with that, that's when the government started looking into programs and or slamming corporations, and even like going through websites and saying that these are coming up with what we call the banned words at the Guild. By the way, I should have said prefaced, anything that sounds like an opinion is my own.
Ditto.
I am.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. But so, and actually one of the things we wanted to do at the Guild is what we call the banned words campaign, because we've discovered in discovery for various litigations and just generally speaking, that the government is going through and finding words on websites and saying, oh, we're not going to give people grants because they've got the word diversity on their website, or they say they promote equity or inclusion. So those are the kinds of things that we're trying to fight against.
May I say my very favorite was they were trying to eliminate gay from the website vocabulary, and they included Enola Gay. So so suddenly the plane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima disappeared. So it's not just that they're trying to ban words; it's if they actually are taking the time to understand what they're doing. I think, but that's being kind. Ralph, what for you, as the counsel for the Dramatists Guild, what for you is the biggest fight that we have on our hands right now in terms of writers being able to express themselves and have a fair
Yeah.
ability to express themselves in art.
The fear is that, first of all, the government isn't making laws against expression per se. They're making laws against the producers who present the expression. So it creates a chilling effect, essentially. And that's more, you're seeing like with the NEA grants and what is it, the Kennedy Center to do.
You mean wait? Don't you mean the Trump Center?
Bob, Bob, can I talk?
Okay.
The anti-drag laws that preceded the statewide, federal government isn't the only thing that makes laws. States make laws, and it's really on the state level where a lot of the problems are right now. And for example, I was just a few weeks ago talking to these young students, theater students from the University of Central Oklahoma, I think it was. And they were about to go into rehearsals on this play they were going to present. They were part of this ongoing theater group and on campus, and they're theater majors is part of what they do. And a new law that had just taken effect in July, an anti-DEI law, the attorneys for the college made them cancel the production. Now, because they feared lawsuits that law would have allowed people to bring against them. I read the language of the law. There was nothing that producing that play would have created the basis for a lawsuit. And so this is where you get into the chilling effect. People, companies, a school, a university, a theater company, nonprofit organizations don't want to lose their funding. They don't want to get sued. They don't want to misinterpret, they don't want to lose grants, and they are losing grants. That's an NEA issue. But the point is that the chilling effect has real economic consequences for artists, for writers. The writer of the play they were going to produce is a guild member. Luckily, the students weren't willing to take it lying down. They brought the play off campus and produced it in a local theater, which had more seats, more visibility, gave the play, they were able to sell more tickets, and gave the production a greater profile than it would have otherwise had. So that's often the result of censorship. It has, we spend a lot of time convincing schools, for example, that the suppression of speech to avoid controversy is a flawed logic, because they're inviting controversy. We're not going to let them do it in silence, in quiet, in the dark. And so we promise them that the act of censoring, of canceling, will bring just as much attention to them, negative attention, as what they might have feared coming towards them from the other direction.
Well, so that's a very specific example. Cheryl, do you have a specific example from the Authors Guild position?
Yes, well, actually, we've been on the anti-book banning front. We're actually involved in 6 separate lawsuits throughout the country, dealing with books that have been removed from bookshelves in schools and public libraries. And the chilling effect is chilling and terrifying. And what is, for example, the state of Florida? Oh yeah, Florida. There are laws that state that you're not allowed to have certain types of books with sexual content available to certain kids. And what schools do is that, in fact, in Florida, they've been advised to err on the side of inclusion. So meaning if you think that somebody might challenge a book, get it off the shelves. and worry about it later. And that is happening in Florida. That's happening throughout a variety of states in this country. Books are
Okay.
getting removed because people are scared that we're going to get sued. There's going to be complaints, and there are big laws are being passed. They're trying to pass laws to criminalize librarians for making certain books available to students.
I have to go back to err on the side of inclusion. How are they redefining inclusion there?
They're redefining inclusion into like inclusion to say that loop every questionable thing into this one evil bucket.
Including
So
a
if you're
group of books that will be removed.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's certainly not the inclusion we know and love.
No.
All right.
Nope.
All right.
And
So
interestingly enough, if we're talking about the First Amendment, I wanted to mention quickly the Mahmoud case, or what we call the Pride Puppy case, where there are certain children's books that went before, and the case went before the Supreme Court because a group of parents said that their religious rights were being infringed upon because they weren't allowed to remove their kids from classes where these gay and pride and trans books were being mentioned. And the Supreme Court was kind of trying to do a balancing act, saying, well, yes, they have their religious rights to train up their children as they see fit, but there's also free speech. So we kind of don't like the way the case came out, but that's not up to me.
but it affects us so much.
It does. But again, people were, what Mahmoud said was essentially that, for instance, preliminary injunction, so it said that you have to allow the parents to remove their kids from these classes. But people are over interpreting that to say that, oh, we can't have any gay books. We can't teach these kids this. Like, no, that's not what the case says.
Right.
But in this environment, people are scared.
But isn't it at heart what they intended when they passed these laws?
Totally.
Yes.
You're saying
They are written in overbroad and vaguely to encourage this kind of make the line fuzzy.
Justice.
And you're just going to stay further away from it. And this is exactly what they hope. So that because if you actually get a challenge to the law, if somebody says, I'm not going to be afraid of the chilling effect. I don't think this law is legal or it doesn't apply to us. And we're going to go ahead and do this. And if somebody sues, the states are going to lose on these overbreadth,
they have been losing on a number of the cases.
That's right. So they don't want to be challenged on the cases. They just want to scare people into submission and self-censor. That's what they're hoping.
Yes.
So are you giving us a ray of hope, or did I misunderstand? Did I understand you to say that when the cases are challenged, the cases have been overturned? And
it depends on the law, and it depends on the state, and it depends, on a bunch of things. But there have a lot of cases that have gone and said, even this Supreme Court, I think, has said, no, you can't. Even they have limits. So
have they ever actually come out and say you can't ban books?
Well,
the way they interpret it is it's not banning books.
Right.
Essentially, it's removing books even on a temporary basis or access. That's right. To certain types of books for certain ages of people. Essentially, we have some conservative members of the Guild who get angry at us by saying, "What you say banning books, and they can still get them in Amazon. They can still get them in other cities. But books aren't banned." And it's an interpretation of what does a book ban actually mean.
Right.
Let's go back to the issues of DEI and how it is how pressure. What exactly did happen? Was it simply pressure that was put on the NEA, or were they actually strong-armed and forced to start considering withdrawing funding from companies or not-for-profit organizations that were involved in DEI and initiatives? And does that connect to the First Amendment, or is it a different amendment? I'm asking the lawyers because I really don't know.
Well, the NEA, when it was founded, was specifically if you look at the sort of the congressional record, which I did once, it was founded to be immune to political whims. It was supposed to be made pure, the decisions of who they would grant and what they would fund was supposed to be based on the views of the artists themselves, not on politicians. So it was supposed, it's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be content neutral. But, you know, in the Karen Finley case and others, there's been eating away at that. There's been attempts to, so now they don't fund individual artists. They fund, nonprofit companies or productions or museums or operas, whatever. But not, you can't, get an individual artist grant from the NEA anymore. So little things like that continue to happen. This time, the NEA was, the NEA is a government agency, so it cannot make laws based on the content of this speech. So, but they can have criteria for what's fundable and what's not. And they've changed the criteria, so it's harder to get a grant. And it made also make the individual artistic directors of these companies liable, because they're saying they're signing a statement that says we don't we don't accept, we don't make our decisions based on diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're making all kinds of McCarthy-like loyalty oaths, essentially, and they have to sign them. And if they later are sued because somebody says they were doing those things, they are criminally liable individually because they've committed fraud. So it's, talk about your chilling effect. So the NEA is, deep in this regime's pocket with regard to this. NEA gets appointed by the Congress theoretically, but there's another problem. You have the executive branch taking over the role of the legislative branch.
This is an ongoing problem. We're having I don't know what's to be done about that. That goes a little bit beyond First Amendment rights, but I think it's worth looking at. And from a legal point of view, what do we as citizens have at our disposal to help make corrections to what we see as flaws in what's going on in our government? I don't know how to put it. I know that YouTube is hating everything I say. So
well, I think we go back.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, I was going to say, I think we go back to what is in theory the checks and balances system of the government. For you to have the executive branch is not supposed to rule over all. We've got the judiciary, we've got the legislative. We can bring lawsuits, which is trying to get the judicial branch to rein in the executive. But you can also, in addition, I saw Dale Davidson said vote, yes, vote, but also lobby. These people need to be reelected. They want to be reelected. So I think the more you assure them that they are putting their future careers and electability on the line by taking certain sorts of measures, I think that scares them. I think
based on that principle, the Guild, we have an organization called the Dramatists Legal Defense Fund, the DLTF. Cheryl is on the board of that organization as well, because she's a guild member, Dramatists Guild member, as well as a Guild employee.
I belong to all the guilds.
Yeah. And we were we got involved early on with the NEA thing, and we reached out to our membership and said, here's your congressperson's address. Here's some language you can send them. This is why. And, if you want to do this, this is how you do this.
Did it have any effect? I got that email, and I think I signed. I'm pretty sure I signed.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what has an effect and what doesn't.
Mhm.
They do, when they get letters, they count them, and when they get phone calls, they get tallied. So it's what we have, you know. Um, there are,
And look on your local, look on your local level as well. When you talked
Exactly.
about stuff like book bans, school boards,
school boards,
those,
exactly.
yeah. Hmm.
Run for school board. You
Hmm.
know, this is a, people think of this as a national, um, governmental problem, but it's being executed on a local and state level. And
Hmm.
that's where you can have the most success. Like in this community in Oklahoma, you would think that there's no way these kids were going to get any support to take their play off campus. It was a play about the Globe Theater and the boys who played female roles
Oh.
in the
Hmm.
Elizabethan theater. And it's a historical play. It's not a specifically about gender. It's just these actors were, and this is
Hmm.
their lives. And so you would think Central Oklahoma, what? No, there are people of conscience in every community. You just have to articulate the argument in a way they understand and give them a real thing to do about it.
Hmm.
So they said, no, we're gonna support these kids and bring this company off campus. It wasn't, and that's happened time and time again. Over the years,
Hmm.
LDF has been involved before Trump was reelected.
Hmm.
It's not like he invented this problem. You know,
No.
there, there was a Broadway cast of a Yiddish play in 1922
No.
arrested for indecency. So this goes, the American jurisprudence on kind of problem is not a new one. It's taking on new wrinkles,
Hmm.
but it always does. We work with NCAC and other
Yeah.
groups to create a toolkit that allowed schools to get plays on when they were being
Hmm.
canceled, not by the government, not by
Spell
conservative
spell
forces,
out
but by students themselves who didn't like certain words being spoken. And
what were the initials that you spelled? I didn't hear I didn't grab
Mhm.
the initials when you said them. You're talking about a company and
Well, Elizabeth
Oh,
Wilson's company, the National
National Coalition
Coalition
Against
Against
Censorship.
Censorship,
oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
NCAC, using the short term, the
Yeah.
short. But that was it seems almost quaint now, but there was like a whole spate of cancellations that was being driven by the left, and groups on campuses who didn't want certain words to be spoken, who felt
Hmm.
assaulted by certain viewpoints that were, they felt trauma had resulted from hearing these things or seeing these things.
Hmm.
So how do you get these plays back on? That was the toolkit that so that was the left. The right has a particularly pernicious and virulent version of this. And so it takes a different appearance, but you still have to sort of negotiate with the community to gain its support. It's a political process. It's a process of persuasion, and then ultimately it's lawsuits. Who's willing to be a plaintiff in a
Yeah.
case?
So
We can raise money
it's
to fight,
interesting.
but you really
Perception, our perception, a lot of us out here, our perception is that um, everything is being dictated by somebody who calls himself our president, and you're saying that we can, and we feel okay, we feel helpless. We feel what are we going to do about Trump? You know, and I know there are people that just they love him. I mean, if somebody's going to watch this YouTube video and they're going to start yelling at me and saying he's a great guy, he's wonderful, he's this, he's that.
Hmm.
But it still has the appearance to many of us that he is limiting our rights, that he is one by one, he's just knocking down the pins of democracy. Do you think that's an accurate observation, or am I just
That's beyond my pay grade. But what I will say is, you know, leadership sets a tone, and you know,
It authorizes people feel
right,
the
legitimizes.
ability. Yeah.
It's like, you know, the ones with the tiki torches marching in the
Hmm.
streets. Um, you know,
so?
because
What I'm
there's
trying to
fine
do is
people on both sides, right? So
I'm trying to
it
untangle this for
legitimizes the
myself.
viewpoint.
So basically, you are saying that there are potentially effective methods of countering some of the uh, pressures that are on us to that seem to be taking away basic rights.
20
Um,
year two 20-year-old women in Oklahoma said, no, we're going to put our play on. And they are. If they can have the fortitude to do that, why can't grown-ups? Why can't the
Hmm.
university have said that first so that the play wasn't canceled? They could have said that to their own lawyer and said, yeah, you know, that's one view of the law. There's other views of the law. And if they sue us, and if they sue us, we'll sue them back. You know,
Hmm.
and but you have to be willing to take that on. You know,
Hmm.
resistance, uh, acquiescence is is the death of democracy.
Hmm.
That's what it's not the bellicose mulings of a you know of a big orange douchebag in the
Hmm.
White House. It's our response to that.
Hmm.
It's
Or
how
lack thereof.
or lack thereof that is what will ultimately decide
Hmm.
what our rights are. He won't decide. We'll
Hmm.
decide. We'll be
And
afraid, or we
Mhm.
will resist.
And
well,
there are people who, even although on the other side, so to speak, can be reasoned with and can be made sense, because when you're talking about free speech, that's something that talk about what should be a bipartisan issue. So I think the more we can and make it so, the better. We have an example I love is that we were advocating against they were going to threatening to close a library because the lawsuit required the librarians to put certain books back on the shelves, and the community was going to hold held a community meeting to say, should we just decided to fund the library rather than put the books back? And we reached out to our, like this is in Texas, we reached out to our local members, some of whom were quite conservative. And I emailed one in particular, and I thought, oh God, he's just going to call me a Northern liberal again and complain that I'm overstating. He emailed back, he was outraged at the idea of closing their local library. And he spoke out, and a number of people in that conservative community did speak out. Ended up not closing the library. So I think also one of the things that need to be explained to people is what's being lost. What are the books that are being removed? When you're talking about books like about Ruby Bridges, about a little 6-year-old little black girl, like, and talking about kill other 6-year-old children should not be forced to read this. Like, she shouldn't have been forced to live it. But the idea is like to kind of like show people like these are the books that are being taken away. These are the voices. This is what's being taken away. And do you think that's right? Do you seriously think what's going on is right? And kind of like not force them, but kind of get them to think about what's really going on here.
we
Even people like Ted Cruz
Yeah.
said, you can't do that to Jimmy Kimmel. Because if you can do it to Jimmy Kimmel, you can do it to Rush Limbaugh or whatever, you know. So the even the hardcore conservatives understand that they benefit from free expression as well. And it takes a certain kind of, it's not about left right, it's about authoritarian or
Hmm.
anti-authoritarian. And
yeah,
so
but
get that on both sides.
the problem is we need support on both sides of the aisle, and
Right.
the people on the other side of the aisle think that they're going to be exceptions. They assume it's. I Forgive me for going there, but being Jewish, I think back to Germany, and I think back to the people who stayed in Germany because they said, oh, they're not. This isn't going to affect me. I'm
Hmm.
different. It's not going to be me. I'm a wealthy Jew, so they won't
Mhm.
touch me.
It's the
It's
leopards
this.
eating faces.
What was that?
It's the leopards eating faces.
Oh,
People vote for the leopards saying, oh, I didn't think the leopards were going to eat my face. I thought they were just eating everybody else's face.
all right. I don't know that's little anecdote, but all right.
Oh,
Um,
Cheryl apparently has lived around very vicious leopards.
they're
okay.
just hungry.
Um,
Oh, you said leopards with a D at the end.
yes.
Yes.
Oh God, I was like horrified because I thought you were saying lepers.
No.
Oh my God. I was like, what is
Check out
this?
Francesca Lee Ramsey. She's got wonderful videos singing the song about I never thought the leopards would eat my face.
Ah.
Okay. Um,
Context.
so there was there was a point I was going to be making, but if you guys can continue while I search my brain for it. Um, I guess I was going to say something about DEI, and I'm also not clear that I know that I'm mixing metaphors. I'm mixing amendments.
Mhm.
That DEI is not necessarily. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So we were in a liberal paradise. We thought that we were going to survive uh, shutdown by becoming more aware of things that are going on in our country, becoming forced to look at things and understand what was happening because something as unmistakable as George Floyd was
Mhm.
happening. And we suddenly were talking about, okay, we're going to bring more voices into theater. We're going to start telling the stories that don't get
Mhm.
told. We suddenly were celebrating the idea of the other, of other voices, other
Mhm.
people that are different than us. And then somebody slammed the door on us. And
Mhm.
what are we going to do? I think that we can't deny that there's going to be a setback in terms of um, allowing more opportunities for people that are not uh, old Jewish and white like me. Although actually the Jewish thing is not an advantage these days. Um, what am I overstating it? How are we going to get the door back open so that we can start thinking about DEI in a positive way now that it's been reframed for us as something that's negative and horrible and something that we're doing to them? Suddenly, the people that are not the other are claiming the 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 flag of othership. It's like, no,
Mhm.
I'm the other in this instance. You have.
Yes.
There are broader forces at work here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Countries and the people look for people to blame, to scapegoat, to otherize when
Mhm.
they are under financial pressure. It happened in Germany. It happened whenever a country, people are vulnerable to demagogues who want to give them somebody to blame for their misfortunes
Mhm.
when they are struggling. And since the 80s, our economy has been a two-tier economy. There's the 1% and there's everybody else. And the line between those
Mhm.
two, it keeps growing wider and wider.
Mhm.
Um, that's the fundamental underlying issue that allows a Trump to arise you know, out of the people.
It was similar in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm. Yeah.
you could look at any authoritarian state.
Mhm.
It comes out of depressions and economic harsh, uh, bad economies.
Mhm.
People panic. They want to be told what to do so that
Mhm.
they want to know where their next meal is coming from. They want their kids to be able to survive. So they trade a little liberty for a little security. And as
What they think will be a little
right,
liberating.
well, as Benjamin
Mhm.
Franklin said,
Mhm.
those who trade their liberty for security will have
There it
neither.
is. Neither. Mhm.
Um, so that's where we are as a country, and that's why this.
Mhm.
So better economic times would certainly allow the politics to change. Also, a Democratic Party in opposition that actually had a positive message for those people, instead of trying to shame them or blame them. They're victims of this economy, and they're lashing out. So let's find a platform. Let's find, national health care. Let's find some programs that would actually help their lives. And then you can talk about, free expression. People are not focused on free expression when they're losing their jobs. They're just not. And
Especially other people's free expression as they see it.
right.
Mhm.
So the
It's
other
not
end,
there.
go ahead.
Say there are misperceptions that like, oh, all authors are like Stephen King and they've got estates in Maine and they don't need to so what if they don't sell a few books? That doesn't make any difference to me. They're ignoring the vast numbers of authors who are losing finances that they cannot afford to lose, like children's book writers and YA book writers who have, and not only do they have their books removed from libraries, they lose speaking gigs because the schools are afraid to bring them in. These are people who are not by no means wealthy, but they're
And
getting hit very hard by this.
yeah, and the playwrights who write, educational works for schools,
Mhm.
on bullying or other things are,
Mhm.
it's, they're the ones who are getting hit by this. Um,
Mhm.
the schools and the nonprofit and the community-based theaters that want to provide access and have audiences and performances that reflect those audiences. And
Mhm.
they're the ones getting hit by this. They're losing funding and they are closing. And
But
that creates fewer opportunities for the artists who work in theater.
to go back to your fix for it, you're actually saying that you believe with your heart that the people standing up and being vocal about these things and protesting and helping other people understand the impact that it's having on people can create some change. I don't know whether it's going to be a quick fix or it's going to be a long. I think we're going into a long period of protest and trying to adjust um, things and get our, I guess, just basically try to get our rights back.
Um, you 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 don't
I don't think you could use the word fix in this situation. I don't think it's going to work that way.
know.
Yeah. Okay. How will it work? What's a good word?
I
You
think
said
that
before that, do I believe it in my heart? It's not a matter of belief. I've seen it.
Right.
I've seen resistance work. It's just a matter of fact.
Mhm.
People need to embrace that notion and act on it.
Okay. So I'm saying that to me is the ray of hope in this conversation, is that the belief in the power of our resistance and our talking out, speaking out,
Yeah.
speaking truth to power.
And
So
litigating.
That's the other kind of speaking out.
Yeah.
That's that's
Mhm.
if you can get some of these ridiculous uh, illegal laws overturned,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, then it starts to crumble a little bit.
Mhm.
The wall starts to crumble, and the emperor's new clothes become
Mhm.
a lot less visible. Um,
Mhm.
so it's a sustained resistance
Mhm.
from all directions, from above,
Yeah.
from below, from the left, from the right,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and choosing not to acquiesce, choosing not to just
Mhm.
go, well, this is it. He'll only be in place another couple more years.
Mhm.
That won't matter. It's not about him. Everybody
no,
wants to
Mhm.
make it about
it
him. It's
hasn't
not
been
about
it hasn't been
him.
about him for a
It's
long
about the
time
For
now.
forces that
years. Yeah.
created him.
Mhm.
It's about the forces that
Yes.
allow him to function. Those forces
And
are going to continue. There will be
yeah,
more
what they want,
MAGA
so what they
forces.
want you to do is to shrug and say, nothing I can do.
Right.
That is exactly what they want.
Well, this is what I do. I have conversations. I try to get people talking
Mhm.
about stuff.
Mhm.
Um, that's the only thing I feel capable of doing, but I'll think more on it. Owen, we have comments going back an hour. Can we catch up on some of the things? Not necessarily questions, but there were some actually very interesting comments that people made as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a comment from Scott saying the lawyers are the first real line of defense for free speech. What we writers do is important, but the real battles are fought by lawyers. Hooray for lawyers.
So you don't want to kill
What-
us, like Shakespeare said. Good to know.
So when's the last time you guys heard "Hooray from lawyers"? So
I've
thank
never
you,
heard that
Scott.
in my life.
Thank you,
Never
Scott.
once. Never once.
We have a comment from Judith. I don't quite know what this is in regards to, but it's also going to affect what for-profit companies and Broadway are going to present. Investors currently get to write off any losses. With this gang, anyone is offended by a subject or language or can decide it's against whatever MAGA's definition of whatever can tell the investors they can't deduct their loss. A lot of potential investors won't continue to invest.
Well, basically, this is the executive order suppressing DEI. Which one thing that we've learned from it is that not-for-profit theater companies do have support from individual donors. A lot of them who have lost their funding have cut programs, but a lot of them have also replaced have kept the programs by replacing the funding from individual donors. So here we are in an uncertain economy, although the stock market has been doing ungodly well. And we are basically, well, I lost my thought there. So let's keep going on. Judith Bine has also said that some exciting things were happening with my advocacy. New York City Theater was very excited. And then our dear leader threatened organizations if they dare hire non-white, non-Christian, non-cis folks. So I'm not sure if the board of my specific theater have been frightened away. So yeah, that's basically what you're saying is the big problem, Ralph. It's not necessarily
the chilling effect.
It's the chilling. We're back to the chilling effect.
Yeah.
Fear is the mind killer. Frank Colbert once.
Next up.
We have something from Elizabeth Larison saying cultural freedom demands collective courage. This nationwide statement of values offers a way for institutions and individuals that comprise the cultural sector to publicly commit to being guardians of artistic and cultural freedom. There's a link, and big thanks to both the Authors Guild and Dramatists Guild, which are among the 250 plus institutions that have endorsed the statement.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank NCAC for all its work in this area.
They've been doing a lot to sort of allow us the space and the leadership to come together, various groups around the country to make common cause over these issues.
I want to say what James. I want to quote James Simon. Roberts clerked for my granddad. I'm quite certain that if he was alive, my granddad would smack Roberts in the head. Thanks for that, James. Thanks for that image.
Quite probable.
Roberts is by far not the worst thing on that court.
The truth.
From Maureen Condon, one effective way to lobby the Congress is to participate in economic boycotts of the billionaires' companies that are funding the campaigns of these Congress people. Witness how effective it was when people canceled their Disney subscriptions when the FCC chair threatened ABC's license, and they stood up to Trump's FCC and got Kimmel back on the air.
You look at Target when they went anti-DEI and started losing massive amounts of Black consumers, and now they're trying to creep back. It's like, no, we didn't mean it. Come back.
Yeah, we didn't mean it. No. Oh boy. Anyone else?
A question from RK Green: how do we support the judiciary, which is overloaded with suits and appeals?
How do we support the judiciary? Well, in a lot of localities, you elect judiciary. You elect judges and you elect attorneys general. So you need to use that power more judiciously, more. People just sort of click whatever.
Click it,
But a little bit more thought about that, a little bit more looking into that would probably help. ultimately, though, it's about who appoints those judges. If it's not the the voters, then it is
Mhm.
politicians. So the
Yeah.
politicians are elected, and that's why elections have consequences, and that's why, you can think all you want about Trump's economic policy, but the real danger he posed was the three arch conservatives he put on the court,
Mhm.
which overturned Roe v. Wade, which
Yeah.
have allowed speech by corporations to
Mhm.
flood the economy
Mhm.
of elections and
Mhm.
change the nature of how elections are funded.
Mhm.
There's those three votes
Mhm.
have mattered more to this country than anything else he may have bloviated.
Right.
Mhm.
Very, very true. Judith Minus actually read my mind. I was going to tell people to put up their Simpson hand if they want to also make a comment.
Mhm.
So Judith, would you like to make a comment? Oh, she took her
Is
hand out.
she? Oh.
All right. Owen, help me
No,
go through
no.
it.
There. Okay. I want to thank
Mm.
you all. This has just been wonderful. But I do have a couple of questions. When I vote in every election, and when I try to find when they have the judges up for election, there's no way to find out who's supporting them, who they are. So you don't know. And it's very frustrating about that.
Well, that's one
So
of the things we're trying to do with the DLDF is educate and let people know, you know, we have we have a direct relationship to our membership. We have 10,000 members around the country, and they're in every state. And
Mhm.
we know what
Mhm.
congressional districts they're in, and we send out e-blasts, to the members when there's a particular, a statute or
Mhm.
that they can influence a vote on.
right.
So to write their congressman, to write their
Yeah.
senator,
Mhm.
or if there's a state law that needs to be considered.
Mhm.
So we're trying to educate the voters on the local level, on the congressional district level, whenever there's something we hear about that they can have an impact on.
Well,
Mhm.
that's good, but the problem is when you're voting for these judges,
Right.
there
Yeah.
I called once the League of Women Voters to ask, where I can find information. They said, "Oh, they're not allowed to campaign."
Right.
So I said,
Mhm.
"Well, how do we know who they are? Who am I voting for?"
Right.
So that's the sort of the foundation of the whole
That's
thing.
right. And in those cases, you sort of have to look for what party is are they running under,
Mhm.
and then you need to the local political parties.
Mhm.
You have to. That's where you go to find out. Well, you put this guy up. What's his view on
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
free First Amendment rights?
Yeah.
Well, I know that Cheryl's going to have to leave in a moment.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions from the room, Owen?
Well, I just wanted to bring in a opinion from Tony Hart, who has maybe a different opinion than the rest of you, and I just want to hear your thoughts. I think you three lovely people are hopelessly naive, and as usual, I beg my liberal friends not to sign anything anti-orange because, God forbid, it gets worse, which it could. You know they are making lists.
That's the fear. That's
Yep.
the
Yeah.
fear I was talking about. That's
Beyond the
what
chill
allows
factor.
a democracy
Mhm.
to roll
Mhm.
into authoritarianism because you're afraid
And
of the
yeah,
risk.
and Tony, I understand that you say this out of caring, but we're not speaking out of naivete. We have won certain litigations. We have seen pushback be effective. We are all afraid. We are all afraid. But to sit back and say there's nothing I can do is not the way to make anything stop. And when you see things when you see things that have actually worked, like in Oklahoma, in Texas, where we were able to get people in the library from not being defunded, all over the places where there are individual people speaking out, we agree. Everybody should be careful, Tony. but we don't think that means that you can put your hands over your ears and close your doors and just sit in fear.
And this isn't about liberal or
Mhm.
conservative. This is about authoritarian or anti-authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
You either want to preserve your individual rights to speak up and be heard and be able to do that, or you want to live in a country where that's not possible anymore. So that's got, what is that? Why is that left, right? That's it's not. Everybody,
It shouldn't be.
Ralph, let me ask you: can you stay a little longer? I mean, I'm going to do a wind up on the video that's not going to be shown on YouTube, but I know Cheryl has to leave. She has theater tickets. If you stay, then people can ask you more questions afterwards. If you can't, that's okay. You're free to go.
I can stay another 15 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to do my thank yous. I'm going to. Oh wait, Dale Davidson has her hand up before you go. Quickly.
I was just, if you've been on this before last month or whatever, last week, if you're scared to go to the marches, go onto the street and watch people. We're actually not scared, and we're having a good time because we are in a very large crowd, and we know that we are right, and we have to protect democracy.
Agreed. But agreed with the caveat that I understand that there are other points of view that people are completely convinced of. So
yeah.
That's just the way the world is. There is no single reality in this world. Sorry to break the news to all of us. But Cheryl, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my vice president and co-founder. Thank you for everything that you do. I'm very grateful to you. Ralph, I've considered you. We haven't had brunch, but I've considered you a friend for many years. I know that I can always turn to you when I have questions, and I appreciate that very much. I'm going to let's see. I'm going to come on here and do my little solo piece. So I want to thank my panelists. I want to thank the community. I want to thank the people that came into the room. I want to thank people that came in from France. I want to thank you very much for people that come in from all over the country. It's surprising at this stage of my life to suddenly realize that there is an international interest in what we do. We're not a Facebook like million people company, but at least we have people who are interested from around the world who come and join us. Thank you all. If you're out there in YouTube land and you actually are able to see this because YouTube has decided to actually be a little gentler, then you can come and be part of the room and actually ask questions, be here. Just email me. Email me directly. I'm Bob Ost. You can email me at trunltd@aol.com, trunltd@aol.com. And we'll invite you every week. Next Friday, we're actually having people that are in leadership positions at the League of Professional Theater Women and two other women's arts organizations. We're going to talk about why we still need arts organizations dedicated to helping women advance their careers, but we do, and they're coming, and you'll meet them. And I have other things planned for the weeks ahead. We do this as a community service. We've been doing it as a community service since 2020. I think it's important that you all have a place to go and hear interesting people and also meet each other. And I used to do it live, and now we do it live sometimes, but we do it mostly virtually. So virtually, we have people coming in from all over the world. And we also have bills to pay. So if you can pay something, please do pay something and support us. And if you want to actually make a contribution, you can go to TRUDonate, TRUDonate.com, TRUDonate.com, and give us whatever you can. Happy to be here for you and happy to be doing this. I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't know, maybe forever. Who knows? But it's interesting that I managed to find people who come in every week who have something worth saying. Like I said earlier, I don't exactly know what else to do to make the world a better place. But for me, my choice is to have conversations and to share ideas with each other, with you and with everybody else, and exchange ideas. So I hope that makes some difference in the world, and I hope that you'll join us in the future. And that's it. Come back. I hope to see you again.